Here again with another ranking video. As many of you know, I just recently saw the 10th installment of the Saw franchise, Saw X. Really good movie. And then, of course, I did my usual where I gave my ranking of all the movies in the franchise. In this particular video, I want to let you know who my top 10 favorite characters from the Saw franchise are. Of course, before I get into that, pretty important, if you haven't watched every single movie in the Saw franchise, including Jigsaw, Spiral, or Saw X, or Saw 3D, then I highly suggest that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And this video is going to be my personal opinion. We are not all going to have the same list. There are some characters in the Saw franchise that a lot of you cherish that I just go, could do without them. So we're going to have very different lists. And, of course, I want to hear what you have to say. So make sure that you leave your ranking of your top 10 favorite Saw characters in the comment section so I know where you're coming from. And, of course, Hulk smash the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So kicking things off with my 10th favorite character in the Saw franchise, I'm going to go with Xavier from Saw 2, played by Frankie G. He was just a really fun character. And on a side note, I hear that Frankie G is one hell of a guy, and that's coming from Ken of Sledgehammer Horror. But he was just a very interesting character that kind of stole the show in Saw 2, in my opinion. At least with all the people that are in the house, he stole the show, in my opinion. He was very interesting. I would love to see him come back for future prequels in the Saw franchise, if it's possible, or just his character, because I really liked his character. It's a shame that we only got, that movie with him, and then we saw his body in other movies, but I really liked Xavier's character, and that's why he comes in at number 10. In 9th place, I'm going to go with our favorite detective. Well, one of my favorite detectives, I should say, and that would be Allison Carey. She was in the original Saw briefly. She was in Saw 2 a lot. And a little bit here and there in Saw 3. And I guess she's in there for a second or two in Saw 4 to see her, spoiler alert, dead body. I really liked Allison Carey. I thought she should have been the star of her own movie. Instead of Officer Rigg, it should have been Allison Carey. Just Rigg wasn't as interesting in my opinion. He's good. But I thought they were building something with Allison Carey, especially with her having that potential relationship with Eric Matthews, and I really liked it. It's unfortunate that we had her get killed off in Saw 3, but it doesn't change the fact that I really enjoyed her character. She was smart, and I feel like there could have been a lot more with her character, and who knows, maybe we'll see her again in the Saw franchise if Dina Meyer wants to come back, but that's why Allison Carey is my number 9. Coming in 8th place is going to be Eleanor from Jigsaw. I know people hate this movie, but I really like some characters from Jigsaw. I thought she was great. She was very interesting as like this coroner chick that was obsessed with Jigsaw, John Kramer. And I really liked her, and she's still alive. So who knows if we'll ever see her or Logan from Jigsaw again. But I enjoyed her, and I want to see more from her. She had that whole Jigsaw shrine with all the traps of John Kramer, so that was awesome. I felt like there could be a lot more with her character, and who knows? You never know. Anything at this point can happen in the Saw franchise, I think, and that's why Eleanor, the coroner chick from Jigsaw, is going to be my number 8. Number 7 for me is a very underrated character in the Saw franchise because not a lot of people talk about this guy, and it's Detective Tapp from Saw is my number 7. Danny Glover was awesome. He was this obsessed cop that just wouldn't give up. He just knew there was something because Dr. Gordon's pen was left at the scene, so he just wouldn't stop pursuing it. He was obsessive, and he was really good. He did a really good job. It's crazy with the budget that the original Saw had, with all the big names that they had in the original Saw movie. They must have needed a small payday or something like that, but I think Danny Glover as Detective David Tapp Did a really good job. It would have been nice if we would have got more from him. Unfortunately, we didn't. I just thought he was really cool. A lot of these characters I thought could have been used more, but they weren't. But Detective Tapp, little crazy, but a damn good performance by Danny Glover, and that's why Detective David Tapp is my number 7. Number 6, a lot of you will probably disagree with this one because people don't like this movie, and that would be Logan. Logan had a really interesting story. He was actually almost died in the trap, and then John Kramer thought that he didn't deserve that, even though he messed up John Kramer's results, and John Kramer saved him. And then lo and behold, we have this guy that has some engineering skills help out John Kramer, and that's how John Kramer, despite some thinking that he was on his deathbed, is able to construct these crazy traps with all his different apprentices in the Saw universe. But I liked Logan as a character. I really enjoyed him and Eleanor as kind of a team in Jigsaw. I thought it was good. I know you're going to disagree with me, and that's fine. I think we're going to get more from Logan in a future Saw movie. I really do think that he may be in the next one, possibly. Don't know that for sure, obviously, but I really think we might get more from Logan, and it's good, because the more movies he's in, the more people will like him, I think. So that's why Logan is my number 6. My number 5 is a character I debated on putting on this list, but I did put her actually relatively high, and that would be Amanda Young. There's times in the Saw universe that I get annoyed with Amanda. She was crazy in Saw 2. I never thought she would be an apprentice of Jigsaw, not knowing that he was going to have a million different apprentices. I always thought after Saw and him not being in Saw 2 that Dr. Gordon would be his only, if he has an apprentice, his only one. But Amanda being placed in the game and like knowing, oh, Jigsaw's testing us again, like freaking out, like, oh, not this guy again, and then getting thrown in a pit of needles, and her ending up being a part of the whole thing with John Kramer was pretty crazy. She was a little bit annoying in Saw 3, I think, but what puts her on this list is her performance in Saw X. Now, she does not have the best performance, and there's a couple performances in Saw X that are really good, but I really enjoyed Amanda in Saw X and Saw 2. She has a brief appearance in Saw, and then in Saw 3, she's okay, but some of her overacting, or her character's overacting, got on my nerves. But hey, Amanda's awesome, and that's why she's my number 5. And there's some characters that I wanted to include on this list, but I can't remember their names. So if I can't remember their name, then there's no point to put them on the list. Like the main villain in Saw X, I don't remember her name. Yes, I could look it up, but she's not memorable enough for me to remember her name, so she didn't make the list. A lot of people would put Adam on their list. His acting wasn't very good. Yes, I know there was bad acting in the original Saw. Not from Danny Glover, but by Lee Winnell, Cary Elves, more on him later. And he's a memorable character because he's in the first movie and a big part of the first movie, but I didn't include him. Anyway, back to the ranking. My number 4, and I'll periodically talk about other characters from the Saw universe that I thought about putting on here, but my number 4 is going to be Dr. Lawrence Gordon. I really like Dr. Gordon, despite the acting that Cary Elves had in the first Saw movie. I think he was a really good character. And then, him being in the original Saw, and then finally coming back in Saw 7, Saw 3D, Saw the Final Chapter, whatever you want to call it, it kind of was predictable. Like, I always thought, well, the Saw movies are going to end when Dr. Gordon comes back because we don't know his fate yet. And they had little hints to him in every Saw movie, and then finally we get him back in Saw 7, 3D, Final Chapter, whatever you want to call it. Just a memorable character for a movie. The first person that got out of a trap that we saw. Well, Amanda technically did, but cutting his foot off to get out of the trap. Hurting his own body, where Amanda just had to stab to get in this guy's his stomach. And he's memorable. And I love how Saw. A lot of people hate Saw 3D, Saw X, or not Saw X. I'm sorry, Saw 3D, Saw 7, Saw Final Chapter, whatever you want to call it. But the end of that movie, spoiler alert, when he shuts the door on Hoffman, game over. It was awesome, and I loved it. Who knows what happened after that? Maybe someday we'll find out. But Dr. Lawrence Gordon is my number 4. Other characters that some would put on this list, like Jeff from Saw 3, can't stand him. Probably my least favorite character in the Saw franchise. I know. Peter Strom, I like Strom to a degree, but I'd rather talk about other characters than Strom. I thought about putting Jeff's wife on here, Lynn, because I think her performance in Saw 3 was actually really, really good. But there's other characters that I would rather talk about, so I didn't include her. You have Bobby Dagan from Saw 3D 7 Final Chapter. Thought he was terrible. He's in the Jeff territory of characters that annoy the crap out of me. And then William, the guy from Saw 6, that's the insurance guy. People love that movie. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's toward the bottom of my ranking. I just don't think there was much in the movie. I don't know why all the love for it. Like I said, we're all going to have different lists of movies and different rankings of characters, and that's my opinion on that. So, back to my ranking. This one might get me canceled, but coming in third place for me is going to be John Kramer, a.k.a. Jigsaw. Why is he so low? Well, the first Saw movie, we don't get much from him at all. He's laying in a bed, and he stands up in a bathroom. So we don't get a lot from him. In Saw 2, he's featured quite a bit. But again, there's not really any qualities in that movie that you care about Jigsaw all that much. It's about the other characters in the movie. And then Saw 3, he's a lot better in terms of, like, he gets a lot more emotional attachments in that. And then we find out about Jill Tuck very briefly, and that's another character that I didn't include in my ranking. Canceled me because of that. But his performance, Tobin Bell and John Kramer in Saw X, really elevated him for me. Now, I know a lot of you will probably put him as your number 1. And I can't disagree with that. I just feel like I didn't get attached to him until Saw X, and that's why he's my number 3. But what a great horror movie icon, Jigsaw. I want to play a game. The rules, you have to follow the rules. I just love his character, especially in Saw X. And he was good in Saw 2 and Saw 3 as well. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and talk about how great John Kramer, a.k.a. Jigsaw, is, but you already know, so that's why John Kramer is my number 3. My number 2, which people don't like this character a lot of times. I feel like this character, you either love him or you absolutely hate him. And I actually thought about putting this character number 1, which I've never thought before in the Saw franchise, but this particular ranking of characters, I'm like, is he my number 1? And that would be Detective Mark Hoffman. I enjoy Hoffman's character. Now, I don't necessarily like the movies that Hoffman's in. I like Saw 4, which is, I guess, an unpopular opinion. But Saw 5, my least favorite movie in the franchise. Saw 6, not a big fan of it. Everybody else loves it. I think it's just okay. But I just like what we learn about Hoffman's character. Like, his sister died, and he started being a corrupt detective to get revenge for his sister. So he's mimicking these jigsaw traps. And then just how he goes along things. And then in like Saw 6, all of a sudden he becomes this badass when they're trying to figure out whose voice it is, and they're getting close to finding out that it's him. And then he just starts killing, like he kills Adrian Perez, who we thought was already dead, but ended up not being dead. And he kills all those people. And then in Saw 7, he kills everybody, including the coroner, Dr. Hebner, which sucked because I wanted him to survive. But yeah, Hoffman was a badass. I love when he gets put in the body bag and then gets to the morgue and then kills Hebner and all the people. And it's pretty awesome. Hoffman's an awesome character. I like him a lot. And the fact that I just found out that he's a huge fan of these movies. Maybe he's not very busy and these movies give him work, but he wants to be in all these Saw movies. He loves it. Like, somebody asked him, you going to be in Saw X? And he gave a big wink. Like, he didn't say yes or no, but he gave a wink. And then we get the, spoiler alert, the mid-credits scene with him and John Kramer putting Michael Beach's character up. I can't remember what his character name is. But yeah, Hoffman, awesome character, and that's my number 2. And my number 1 hasn't changed yet. Now, with the future movie in the franchise, it could go down, but hopefully we see this character again. There's still a possibility my number 1 is going to be Eric Matthews. I just really liked Eric Matthews. Now, some can't stand him, and that's fine. I just really enjoyed his character. Going from Saw 1, where the acting wasn't very good, aside from Tap, Monica Potter's character, and I would say Michael Emerson as Zepp as well. But Matthews was awesome. I had lost my train of thought there. That's why I paused. I enjoyed him. He was a hard ass, but he was very interesting and very believable, too. Like, there wasn't bad acting, in my opinion, from Donnie Wahlberg. And I'm jealous of Donnie Wahlberg because he's married to Jenny McCarthy. And back in the day, in my younger years, growing up, there's 3 women that I really liked a lot. Jenny McCarthy's one of them. Sunny of WWE. Yeah, I know she's kind of crap now because she was involved in the accident that killed somebody. And then, of course, Tiffany Thiessen, who I've met twice, by the way. But loved Matthews in Saw 2. Really liked Matthews. Was happy that he was in Saw 3 because they weren't advertising him at all. And then we have a bathroom scene with him, breaking his foot, getting out of the shackle, and then calling Amanda a bitch. And then we don't know what happened to Matthews after that. And then we get him in Saw 4 where he's been eating rats and his hair is all long and, well, not long, but it's longer, obviously. And unfortunately, we lose Detective Matthews in Saw 4. But unfortunately, maybe, just maybe, we might be able to see Eric Matthews again, because I think he's a strong character. But who knows? Mark Hoffman's on his tail here, so he might pass Matthews. So there's my ranking of the Saw characters. Yes, I know. Like I said before, I didn't put Jill Tuck. I didn't put Strom. I didn't put Rigg. I liked Rigg. I just thought he's not as memorable. I didn't put Jeff, because I can't stand Jeff. Zepp would have been cool, but we didn't get enough of Zepp to have him on my top 10. He didn't have a lot to do. Xavier, we got a lot from him in Saw 2, so that's why I added him. But it's a franchise with a lot of memorable characters, and these are just, at the moment, my favorites. Obviously, upon another movie, my list could change. Spiral, nobody really resonated with me in Spiral. Like, yeah, Chris Rock's character of Zeke was good, but I don't think he's as good to make my list. But hey, upon a rewatch, it's possible. Maybe I'll try to include somebody from Spiral, but I'm not sure. I'm just not a fan, although my opinion of that movie went up slightly upon my last rewatch of it. So, again, my list: number 10, Xavier; number 9, Allison Carey; number 8, Eleanor; number 7, Detective David Tapp; number 6, Logan; number 5, Amanda; number 4, Dr. Gordon; number 3, John Kramer, a.k.a. Jigsaw; number 2, Mark Hoffman; and number 1, Eric Matthews. So again, I want some participation from all of you. Make sure you leave your ranking of your top 10 favorite Saw characters. I know our lists are going to be completely different. I expect that. Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms, and of course, before it's game over, JDev will return.